Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and this is an update and a little bit longer video with a good explanation on the Giant Crusher one-hit build. This is how people get one-hits, how you can buff these things to extreme measures, and I'm going to show you how to buff a whole bunch of this without having to use Bloodboil Aromatic, which, as far as the Arteria leaves, can be a little difficult for people to farm, so we're going to go over that, the build, the details, the stats at 150, and turn this into an actual build that can one-hit a lot of things in Eldenring and do massive damage. As far as the Giant Crusher goes, this thing scales excellent with strength. It has a hefty requirement of 60 strength, 40 if you're going to two-hand it, but it scales with an S if you use the heavy affinity. And if you use the fire affinity, you can get a lot of damage out of it with fire because fire scales so well with strength. I'm just going to show the first phase of the Fire Giant. For me, a lot of the times, it's 2 hits in the first phase and then another 2 or 3 in the second. If you hit him in the hands or the eye or head or whatever, anything he's weak to, it's a little harder in the second phase. But if you angle it properly, you can do a lot more damage because the Giant Crusher has a tendency to slide on hit and sometimes hit for more damage than it really should, which is actually awesome and gives us a lot of leeway as far as damage goes. Now, where do you find the Giant Crusher? It's in a carriage next to an ulcerated tree spirit in the Atlas Plateau. I showed on the map where it was. Not too bad to get. Once you get to about the middle of the Atlas Plateau, you go to the right, go over here, grab it. It's in that carriage right there. I already grabbed it on this run. And there we go. We've got an awesome weapon. If you're wondering why people use this big giant weapon all the time as far as one-hits go, it's because its AR is ridiculously high, and as we spoke before with the S scaling, it can do massive damage. It has high damage potential, and we just have 70 strength for the full duration of this video, because I wanted to keep vigor this time and have good stats at 150 to turn it into an actual build as well, instead of a little bit gimmicky. I'm going to include the first video in the description, where you're going to be running around with a lot of low HP, and then you're going to be, procking down all the time. We're procking down a lot anyway, but you're not going to have HP for running through the rest of the game. In this case, we still have 40 vigor, we got 70 strength, and we're still able to do massive damage. This is on Journey 4 and 5. There's clips from both, but the damage we're able to do is fantastic. This thing hits like a truck. I mean, it really is an awesome weapon to use. And when you get that feel, that feel of hitting something, just clobbering it once and seeing it go down, it is a very, very good feeling to have. It takes a lot. There's a lot of buffing. I'm going to explain all the buffing. I'm going to also explain the fire and heavy builds because they're slightly different. And yeah, just hitting something, having it completely get obliterated in a single hit is awesome. It feels really good to do, and it's definitely worth the payoff. So not everything always goes according to plan. Sometimes you go to one-hit something and it'll be left with a little bit of HP. In this instance, since we're on Journey 4 here, you can one-hit him. If I had used Bloodboil Aromatic, which would have given me 5% more damage over Howl or Shabribri, I probably would have been able to one-hit him. I managed to get him in 2 hits though, and again on Journey 4, that's not really bad at all with 70 strength. And again, if my strength were 99 and I had Bloodboil, I think he absolutely would have went down. And when using basic buffs, you can actually do a lot of damage. I did low health proc, but didn't use Seppuku or the Black Dumpling. Left a couple of the buffs out on this one, and still did massive damage. This is a build that works overall. You can also go full health and use the Ritual Swords Talisman, which is an awesome thing to do if you want to rock full HP and you don't feel like you want to be too dangerous with the low health proc. Because you don't always have to do an insane amount of buffs to do a lot of damage given its massive AR. This thing is highly damaging all the time, but I'm going to show you the buff system in a little bit, as well as the builds for both the Fire Crusher and the Heavy Affinity Crusher. So for the buffs, we're going to bring our HP down and then we're going to proc the Black Dumpling. After proccing the Black Dumpling, we're going to switch back to the Mushroom Crown because we want to be able to poison proc ourselves for a lot of extra damage. Then we're going to drink our flask, which has the Axe Talisman Tear. I forget exactly what the tear is called, the Charge Tear, and the Fire Tear. We're going to use Flame Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow, Seppuku one more time. Since this is a Fire Crusher, Flame Grant Me Strength is better over Howl and they override each other. Then we're going to poison proc. We're going to use Royal Knight's Resolve, and then walk up, and bam, dead instantly. That is awesome to do. By the way, this works on like every tree avatar in the game since they're really weak to fire. So for the heavy affinity crusher, we have the Giant's Crusher plus 25, any seal will do, the Seppuku sword to proc our health down, Black Dumpling, Mushroom Crown, Axe Talisman, Red Feathered Branch Sword, Kindred of Rots, Lord of Bloods, and then we have the Charged Tear. The Fire Tear can be in there, or you can use something else like the Bubble if need be. For the fire, we have the Fire Giant's Crusher, same thing, Seppuku Sword, Mushroom Crown, Black Dumpling, Kindred of Rots Exultation, Fire Scorpion Charm, Axe Talisman, Red Feathered Branch Sword, and then we have the Fire and Charged Tear as well. These are my stats at 150, and I have 70 strength, and I left 40 vigor so that the rest of the game is really easy, so that we can low health proc for the stuff we need to, and then have a lot of HP. 40 vigor should be enough. I'm on journey 4 or 5 here, and I'm doing fine with it, and we're low health procking a lot anyway, but this whole feel at 150 gives it a better build. As far as the last video I have, I'll leave it in the description. That video did really well. That was more for if you want to run around with really low HP, high risk all the time, but you do get a little bit more of a reward because we're going to be having, I think, 89 or 99 strength in that video. Another fun thing to note about the Giant's Crusher is that it has a relatively unique animation. I don't know how many other weapons have this in the game, but it actually flattens enemies, which is really fun. If you're new to the game or you haven't tried this weapon out in general, on NPC invaders or NPC characters that are annoying to fight, this thing absolutely wrecks. If you can land it, you can squash them and they get completely obliterated by it. And I think we were between journey 4 and 5. I think this is 5 now at this point. So everything, again, has a lot more HP, but we're still able to one-hit a lot of stuff. Field bosses, early game bosses especially, since they tend to have less resistances, they take a lot of damage from the Giant Crusher, and it absolutely just obliterates them with the amount that it does. It's a fantastic weapon. Scales excellent with strength, and utilizing it in a way of getting one-hits or being able to clobber something and just bam, knock it out completely is a really good feeling, and it makes for a lot of fun. I'm going to show you at the end here a couple of different things as far as single one-hits that I got. I didn't go too crazy. This wasn't a challenge run or anything. This is just showing you how people in general do the crazy amounts of buffs and things like that to be able to get one-hits with the Giant's Crusher. And it honestly feels great. It really does. This is something that once you get that single hit, you're going to want to try this on so many different bosses in the game. It makes it a lot of fun. The payoff is fantastic, and it's just a blast. Using this thing is excellent. Take the Magma Worm here, for example, and I think I showed one earlier. Walking up here and being able to do this, it feels really good. This is something that I said many times in the video, but it's the truth. A lot of people will tell you that have used builds like these. The payoff for when you do get that one hit, it really feels awesome to be able to do that. It's a cool build in general, and since we have our stats now adjusted to the point where it's an actual build as well as being able to one hit, it's an excellent way to handle bosses in Elden Ring. Now at the end here, I just wanted to show you an alternative real quick. If you're ever having a hard time with a boss with this specific build, Flame of the Redmane on this thing absolutely wrecks. Flame of the Redmane is overpowered. It's an overpowered Ash of War to begin with, but it does even more damage because the AR is so high on the Giant Crusher, and it scales purely, I think, with the AR and your strength stat. It does a ton of damage, a ton of poise damage, and it's a great alternative to go back to if for some reason you're not able to one-hit something or you're having difficulty with a boss. You can just change that without changing your stats around and do massive damage. And these are my stats for the Flame of the Redmane setup. We have the Giant Crusher, Flame of the Redmane, any seal, Mushroom and Black Dumpling, which you may or may not need, Shard of Alexander, Fire Scorpion Charm, Axe Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman. You can go with Dragon Crest there too if you want to, because we don't really need the Axe Talisman necessarily. And then we have the Fire Tear as well. If you're not subbed, definitely sub to this channel. Hit that subscribe button. You're going to want all the overpowered PvE builds that are on my channel. It's been a fantastic community that's been growing. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you guys there.